So today I want to talk to you about the challenges of moving from a non-creative life to a creative one. It's not easy. It's scary. It's a vulnerable journey. It's filled with highs and lows. But if a creative life is calling to you, it is so worth the risk. You know what? Life is short. We just have to go for it. And if, like me, you didn't start off on that creative journey when you were young and you're going at it later in life, this is your moment. This is your time. Just go for it. So I turned down a place in art college when I was a teenager, and I went into literature. I worked in theatre on the kind of production side. I worked in business on the kind of more arty side, marketing, advertising. But there was always something missing in my life. I had this notice board for years in my office, and I used to write up, make space for creativity every year. And I tried different things. You know, I tried writing a book, tried writing several books. But, you know, nothing was fitting. And then I think I had I worked really hard. We had 3 young kids. Life was really, really busy. But there was, like, I suppose part of my soul was missing. Something was missing. And when I started painting again, it was, I don't know, I just felt, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. It felt just true to me. It felt real. It felt like some little tiny flame that had been flickering away for all those years just burst into flame. And I felt, oh, this is me. This is what I'm supposed to do. And it felt strange, that feeling, that intensity. But I felt I have to go for it. This is my moment. I have to go for it now. I kind of feel when I'm painting, it's like I'm back to that inner person I was when I was about 8. When I was 8, I was full of confidence. I was good at lots of different things, and I had big dreams. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a dancer. I wanted to be everything. And I was full of self-belief. And then gradually, over the years, that just, I suppose, was eroded. I became more self-aware, became a teenager, my 20s. I just didn't have the confidence. And for whatever reason, I turned down that place in art school I had, and I went a different way for a long time. And maybe, you know, you can't have regrets. I think, apologies in the background, that's the sound of my dog, Doris, rolling around. Hopefully it's not disturbing the audio too much, because I don't have time to re-record this. So painting again was scary. It was vulnerable. When I paint, I just feel all these intense emotions. And I think when I had this non-creative life, those intense emotions weren't there. I mean, I had emotions as motherhood or, you know, with life, but the kind of emotions you feel when you're painting are different. And I hadn't had those feelings for a long time. It just felt very vulnerable and very raw. And it felt like I had created all these barriers over the years, built up all these layers of who I should be, and I don't know, being a perfect mother or a wife or whatever. And when I painted, that all just fell away, and I was just left with me inside, if that makes sense. So I had the calling, it's intense calling and need to paint, and I painted privately for a very long time. But then I wanted to share it. I wanted to get better. I wanted to learn how to get better, and I wanted to share my work. Probably started off, I think, on Instagram initially, and that was scary. I did that. And then I had an opportunity to exhibit with somebody else in a community space. So I did that. So every opportunity that came my way, I said yes, no matter how terrified I was. And like, I hadn't a clue. I didn't know how to hang paintings. I didn't know how to screw on hanging mechanism. Everything was new. And I was finding my way, finding my voice, finding myself as an artist, finding myself as a person, I suppose. So I painted, and I was really, really scared of exhibiting. of sharing my work, I think my biggest fear was of being foolish, like of being no good, of being, you know, judged as rubbish, of being too old. Like that was a big one for me. But I learned with each act of bravery of sharing my work that the world didn't come to an end, and none of those things really were realized. Like what I really learned is that nobody else is thinking about you. Everybody is focused on their own lives and what's going on for them, and they're not really spending too much time thinking of you. Everybody's busy. And most people are really kind and supportive and generous. So nobody was judging me. The only person judging me was myself. So I had to kind of get out of my own head. It's not easy. It's easier to say it than to do it. But I had to do that. The other thing I noticed is when I had a non-creative life, life was sort of smoother. There weren't the kind of highs or the lows. It was kind of more even. It was sort of all the same in a strange way. But when I became an artist, a creative person, I had lots of highs and lots of lows. And that kind of roller coaster of emotion was hard to get used to. So when I exhibited, when I shared something, I got that real rush of a high, of a performance, of sharing. And then afterwards, I had this massive low, and like kind of almost like a depression. I felt really, really low, really, really down, and really hard to create again. You're also, I suppose, when you're moving from a non-creative life to a creative life, you're exposing yourself to rejection. And when you're working, you know, after your first few times of going for jobs, you don't really get exposed to rejection in that same way. When you're an artist, when you're a creative person, you're exposing yourself to rejection all the time. Everybody, you know, if somebody doesn't like a painting, if nobody buys a painting, if you don't get accepted into an open call, rejection, rejection, rejection. And that's kind of part of it. And I still find that hard. It's hard to put yourself out there and then be knocked back. And you have to keep going. You have to believe in your work. If you're feeling intense emotions when you're painting, if what you're painting is coming from inside you and there's something there and you have something to say, then other people, you have to trust that other people will see that too. They just have to find you, and you have to be out there so they can find you. That's what I think anyway. So I suppose I was starting late. Like I didn't sell my first painting till just before my 50th birthday. But the desire to succeed, to be an artist was really, really strong in me. I felt I had no time to lose, that I just had to go for it. I had to be brave. And even if I was scared, I had to be brave. So, you know, I just think my message to you is just keep taking small steps of bravery. And each step of bravery is like a stepping stone leading you from the land of the non-creative to the land of the creative. And they get easier, and you can go in bigger steps and take bigger steps each time. And when I'm saying this today, something I want to, a challenge I want to give you. What one thing could you do today as a warrior artist to show up for yourself and to say, I'm an artist? What could you do? What small thing could you do today that would help your future self on your creative journey? Maybe it's signing up for an art class. The first time I did that, I was terrified. Maybe it's investing in art materials, saying, I deserve to spend this money on art materials. Maybe it's entering an open call. Very terrifying. They might say no. Maybe it's registering a domain name for a website. Maybe it's paying for a website. Maybe it is saying, I'm an artist, the next time somebody asks you what I do. I bet, as I said this, that something popped into your head, the next act of bravery that you need to do. And whatever that is, whatever idea came into your head that that's what I need to do, that's what you need to do. That's your internal self telling you what you need to do next. In the same way you might follow your intuition when you paint, you have to listen to your inner voice, your intuition, as to where you go next on this journey, what next step you take. Doing this podcast, that's a big act of bravery for me, and that's something my inner voice has been telling me for over a year that I needed to do. And I kept putting it off. I had the name for a long time. I knew what I wanted to say, but it was out of my comfort zone, a lot of hard work. I have very little time. I kept procrastinating, putting it off, but I feel really strongly that I want to help other people, because I found it so difficult. And when I started off, I know that, but I'm so clueless. And I think podcasts are a way of sharing information. And I'm really hoping that I can, by sharing my journey on what I've learned, that it will inspire you and make it easier for you and help you take the next step on your creative journey. So keep going, believe in yourself, and today do one small step of bravery to move you on the next step on your creative journey. If an opportunity comes to you, say yes and figure it out afterwards. Doesn't have to be perfect. Who's got time for perfect? I don't have time to record a perfect podcast. I'm just good enough is good enough. Just do it. The same for my first website, rubbish. I'm moving on. I'm working on my third website. Will probably also be rubbish, but slightly less rubbish than the first one. And you just get better each iteration, but you just got to keep going. It's like each painting, every hour you spend painting, you get better. Every day you get better. Each painting is leading you to the next one. The same with your life. So there's like two sides to being an artist. There's making the time and the space to paint. And then there is somehow putting your work out into the world and sharing it so people can find you. And those are the two sides, and you have to work at both sides. But you know, there's lots of opportunities. We're blessed with this time. We're blessed with where we are in terms of becoming artists, becoming creative people now, because you can connect with people directly through social media, through websites. There's opportunities out there. You don't have to wait for a gallery to represent you. Fantastic if you have a gallery. That's wonderful. But if you don't, you can do it yourself. You can start the process yourself. And I think that's what you have to do. You have to make the work, try and get as good as you can, and then you have to share it. And then trust people will find you. So I hope this helps, these points about the challenges of how hard it can be and how, I suppose, how scary it is to feel all those emotions and to feel that rawness and that vulnerability, but you actually kind of get used to it and it becomes more of who you are. And I think I'm getting closer to that, and maybe because I'm older, I sort of don't, part of me doesn't care anymore. I just want to do this. I want to be an artist. I want to be as good as I can be, and I want to share with other people. I want to help other people. So I'm just putting this message out there into the universe. I'm trusting that it's reaching you at a time that you might need this, and it helps you and inspires you. Take care of yourself.